Thank you so much. I haven't practiced this and we're gonna keep it informal. I was told that was the assignment, so that's what we're gonna do. I'm Alex. I started my career at a company called alarm.com that does home security technology, and now I am in construction software, fleet management software, and survey software, kind of a massive company called Trimble that makes, if it touches the construction life cycle, we make software or hardware for it. But this entire time, I've been in kind of a business to business software as a service, B2B SaaS role. And so I've kind of developed some tools and practices within that niche that make the job a little easier. And Roundtables is one of those things. Next slide, please. So I'm going to be talking a little bit for the next 10 minutes about roundtables and how we use them. So what are roundtables? Roundtables are a way for your community members to build a personal connection to you, your product partners, and each other through face-to-face interaction. If this sounds familiar, it's what we're doing right now. This is a roundtable. The event we are currently participating is a roundtable. And there are a lot of tangible benefits to be had from this. There are a lot of intangibles as well, and I actually kind of tend to focus more on those. I tend to focus more on the roundtable's ability to just develop this sense of connection and build relationship rather than any takeaways or tangible insights. I don't know about the rest of you. That's the primary thing that I come to these brain trust events for, is just networking with my peers and like hearing from other people and seeing people and connecting with the Centercode team. It's the same concept in your programs. Next slide, please. Why spin up roundtables? So I'll go back to the very first time I ever thought to do this. I ran a beta back at alarm.com, and it was a product that was really important, and the beta feedback was going to make a really large impact on the launch and our readiness for it in support and our ability to predict what kind of support calls we were going to get, but we didn't get a lot of feedback. It was a very short timeline on the test. I'm not sure the testers had enough time to fully engage with everything that I had laid out for them, but I really needed their feedback and I needed it fast. So I set up a conference call. In those days, you did a Cisco conference call, right? So I set up a conference call and invited everyone. We all, I think we ended up getting 9 people on the call. And I distinctly remember sitting on that 45-minute call and just furiously taking notes because I was getting more data dumped from my testers in that 45 minutes than in the 3 weeks preceding it. And I wasn't really quite sure why that was, but I knew that this was a valuable process, and this was a way, especially in B2B, to get information out of people. So we had a low participation, high leverage beta. I think some of the other reasons to spin up roundtables are to encourage this sense of collaboration, to let your customers get to know each other, see each other, realize that they're working with you. You can kind of have a conversation with them. They can have a conversation with each other. I think there are a lot of things that get surfaced when customers just have a conversation with a peer, someone who's using the same software that they are. I think there's a lot that kind of gets uncovered by that process. I think the other part that makes roundtables valuable, especially in B2B SaaS, is just that it attaches a calendar event to their beta testing expectations. So a lot of the testing that we do is largely unmonitored. We create a project portal, we create a test plan, we give them activities, we give them surveys, and we say, please complete this. We give them email reminders, but a roundtable gives them kind of an anchor point on their calendar. People in B2B roles are very busy. They are usually going to be doing their testing during business hours, and having an actual calendar event on their calendar where they know that the next 45 minutes, I'm going to be talking about this beta test I'm participating in, I think is really compelling for people in this space. Next slide, please. So in the room, who gets invited? This is a great question, and I think it depends on what you're going to be talking about. But typically, the way that we do it now at Trimble is we use roundtables primarily to investigate kind of trends and patterns that we find interesting uh, uh, across projects. So we have our greater community, which consists of all of the different projects that we're running, and then we'll have curiosities or interests that just are getting to maybe industry trends. Where's the industry heading? What do you think of the job Trimble's doing right now? These types of questions that kind of anyone can answer if you engage with our company. And so I've been going through this process, and you can steal this if you'd like, of creating community surveys around these topics that anyone can answer, and then promising that everyone who submits a response will be invited to a roundtable to discuss the results and dive deeper. So when they take the survey, they assure themselves that they're going to be getting an invite to a meeting from me to talk about the results and go deeper. That's what happens. That's who gets invited to those. Also, when we were doing high leverage beta tests around trucking software at a critical time in the trucking industry in 2019, we would have weekly roundtables just to keep people on the ball because we had such important releases that people were depending on and that they were testing live in real trucks. We needed to stay in lockstep with them as to how these changes were impacting them. Was it better or worse than last week? Where are we going? And the best way to engage them was to get that calendar event on the calendar and make sure we were talking to them every week about what they were experiencing with their beta product. The meeting format tends to follow a quick introduction of who we are. Use your cameras, turn your cameras on, ask your attendees to turn theirs on if they're comfortable doing so. It kind of helps build that connection. We go through, for a project-based roundtable, we'll go through what are the big things we need you to work on this week? What are the things that we learned last week or since the last roundtable? And then we open the floor at the end to any questions or comments they want to make about that project. For some of the more general ones that we're doing on these trends and topics across industries, we will present the survey findings, share our analysis and what we learned, and then talk about some discussion. We bring some discussion questions. We just kind of open the floor for 5 minutes at a time to answer some general questions and have them converse and discuss about them. So those are kind of the format and what to expect from it. One thing to expect as you're running these is you need to be a skilled facilitator in a lot of ways, or you need to practice your facilitation skills. People will derail the conversation. They will get hooked on their little pet issue, and they will try to get everyone in the room to talk about their little thing. You have to be very good about saying, that's a great question. Let me follow up with you offline is something I say like 10 times a roundtable. And that's totally okay. Those are still valid things to talk about, and it's a data point, but you don't want to spend everyone's time on one person's problem. So just be ready for that. Next slide, please. What changed after? So we talked about tangible and intangible takeaways. So I will usually come away with a transcript. I will pull out quotes. Usually there are 1 or 2 quotes per roundtable that I just make a note of mentally and say, I need to share that quote with the team or with someone. Like this is the moneymaker from this meeting. So I hold on to those actual tangible quotes and supply those in addition to the other feedback I'm providing. But then there's intangible takeaways too. It's like showing up at a trade show like 9 months later and being like, I know you because you're the roundtable guy. You made this suggestion on the last roundtable, and that means that's just one less cold introduction you have to do at that show, at that trade show, or that conference. And it also creates I think when your customers feel that connection to you and when they have that opportunity to connect with you directly, it just makes them that much stickier of a customer. It makes them that less likely to go elsewhere because are they going to get that experience at your competitor? Maybe not, probably not. Um, you're a real person having a real conversation with them with your camera on. They can see your face. You become a real person to them and not just, um, an automated email bot or an AI chat or something, right? There's power in that, especially in 2025, I think. Um, I think roundtable generated insights, especially if you like do you clip a video or you clip the voice and you supply that within your slide deck. I think that for whatever reason resonates with people, especially leadership. If they can hear a customer saying it, see a customer saying it, it can sometimes have a greater impact than reading it on a sheet. But it's just another data point. It's just a way to make your feedback more well-rounded when you're presenting. And those are, I talked about some of the ripple effects already. I want to make sure we get through this. We're short on time, so let's go to the next one. So here's the playbook if you want to do this yourself. Some things to do. Do make sure to set a placeholder event well in advance. You don't want to kill attendance by scheduling something for the day after tomorrow. Give people time and invite them 2 weeks out. Give them a detailed agenda. Make sure that they know what they need to do and what it'll be expected of them and what you'll be covering, so they can decide if it's worth their time or not. Turn your camera on. Encourage participants to turn theirs on too. When you are remote, you need to put 2 times as much energy into being personable and friendly as you do in a room. In my opinion, you have to give out two times as much energy over a camera versus being in the same room with people to make the same impact. And then be an ambassador for your company. Be the most outgoing and friendly version of yourself, but also, speak well of your peers, speak well of your product and your company. Do not let it turn into an event session. Turn those conversations around. If you see someone venting, offer to take it offline. But yeah, you're representing your company. And there's a tendency to get very familiar in these environments and to kind of agree with what people are saying and laugh things off. But um, take pride in the products you're representing and the teams that are working on them. Do not offer to distribute the recording because people will tune out. If the first thing they see when they join, or if they see, especially in the invite, this session will be recorded, they're going to take that as a way to say, great, I don't need to go. It's a live event. They need to go. They need to participate to get value from it. That's very important. Ask the questions that don't ask the questions you're asking somewhere else. The point is that there's unique value to be had from this experience. They're not going to, you don't want them joining and just to reiterate what they've already answered in your beta project elsewhere. And then, yeah, don't indulge in derailing conversations or distractions. Next slide, please. One roundtable that you could schedule today for your customers, and you will get engagement, is AI at your company, a roundtable discussion. There's your title. Just I'm sure you have questions about how your company should use AI, how how your company is using AI, and what your customers expect from that, or how you're meeting their expectations there. They will have things to say. They will have opinions on this. You will have a good discussion no matter what. Collect impactful quotes, analyze the transcript for themes, and you'll know you were a success if you leave that session feeling energized and connected to your users in a way that you weren't before. If you leave feeling flat or like you really had to push them to participate in this, that's a red flag for you. That should tell you something about how your customers are feeling about your company, about your products, or about their role in your program. And those are all things that you can work to address, and it's another data point as well. Next slide, if there's one. Okay. So to close, your roundtables and the roundtables that we do are trust building exercises. They draw out feedback that you're not going to get in writing, and they create a sense of vitality and vibrance in your community. They bring life to your community. They make it feel real, and they create that connection that text and email doesn't. They build your brand. They create memorable experiences for customers beyond just their time with your product. They're spending time with you. So if not you, who? And if not now, when? As Shia LaBeouf says, what are you waiting for? Do it. Thank you.